even in my experience, so many times I asked myself, like, why is this happening to me? So many times I would like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? And if somebody's watching this podcast, there's a trigger, there's a signal. Like, why are you watching this podcast? Something subconsciously is telling you.
Good point.
I need to look deeper.
Yeah.
And I bet you that happened to you because I know it happened to me.
Amen. It did.
Welcome to another episode of the TPM Show. My name's Tim Matthews. I'm your host, and I am joined with
Arthur Magulianiti.
Grant Reeves.
nickname.
The trusting one.
Nickname.
Exodus, Jared Rush.
Oh, there
Also known
we
as Chief.
go. There we go. So, I want to talk about the masks we wear. What comes up when I say to you, let's talk about the masks we wear?
Ironically, I go back to a podcast you and I did about Jim Carrey wearing the mask. And in that movie where he basically tries to get the girl, tries to get this, tries to get that by being a different version of himself. But when he fully embraces himself, pulls the mask off, and the world sees him for who he is, that's when his light shines brightest.
Well, you, Magoo.
Yeah. And then I see it as the masks that that people wear in order for them to connect, they think, or to be accepted by society.
For me, I think a lot of people wear a mask out of fear, sometimes out of shame, sometimes out of guilt. And personally, it was out of the lack of ability to trust.
Yeah, I think it's an important one, right? I imagine there'll be many guys listening to this who would argue that they don't wear a mask. Do you know what? To say that you don't wear a mask would be to say that you are 100% authentic.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anyone that's 100% authentic. I think being authentic can be a North Star that you're always trying your best to live up to, and maybe you're there 95, 97, 98% of the time. But in my opinion, if you hold something back or you don't speak your truth or whatever it may be, you may argue in that moment you were being inauthentic.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you have moments of being inauthentic, whatever story you might tell yourself, well, I can't say that thing because it may hurt their feelings, or, whatever it may be. There's tons of stories, right? Again, I don't know if you guys would agree, but to me, that would mean that in that moment, that person is being inauthentic. Not as inauthentic, there's a whole spectrum to this, right?
Yeah.
Not as inauthentic as somebody who completely wears a mask the vast majority of the time and totally bends and manipulates and all that kind of stuff. But point being, the listeners, the guys that may argue, hey, I don't wear a mask. What you see is what you get. I'm just kind of bringing this up because I want to argue the point that, listen, you will wear a mask, be it 5%, be it the majority of the time. Because when I speak to guys, especially pre-reset, right, and we're going through the activation method with them, and it's the first few weeks, you can see through the mask.
Yeah.
You can see it. It's this projection, this defense mechanism. And I love what Doug was talking about over the past few days about how oftentimes people wear a mask because, hey, if I wear a mask, I'm putting my representative out there. And if they don't like the representative, well, that's safer because they don't like this projection of me. So I'm still safe because I haven't met the real me. I therefore haven't been rejected, just this fake version of me has. But you're never going to let people in. You're never going to really live a meaningful, fulfilling life if you feel like you've always got to live up to somebody else's ideals of you, or you wear it unconsciously because you don't trust people, or you might have this story of being this platinum kid or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
These are all masks. And I had a mask. I had a mask for a long time, decades. I didn't even realize I had a mask.
Yeah.
And it's huge to understand what it looks like to wear it and to begin taking it off.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to it. There's different parts of this. There are these subconscious masks that we could be wearing that we don't consciously choose when we wake up in the morning, all right, to put on. Yeah, things have happened to us. We adopt certain attitudes, certain patterns, beliefs, stories. Then dictate how we show up, sort of automatically, right? And only through awareness, through growth, through consciousness raising, do we then look back and say, oh, actually, that's a story. Yeah. But up to that point, we've been showing up with this mask. Then we also have the masks of like, I need to sort of fit in with this crowd. So who do I need to be? That's more conscious, right? In that moment. Oh, this crowd is this crowd. I need to show up like this. Oh, but this crowd is another crowd. I need to show up like that. Now you're swapping and changing your masks because you think, if I need to wear a certain mask to be accepted by these people. And then the other part as well is like, okay, if I want to discuss something with someone, I may put on a mask to better communicate with him, right? That can also be a manipulative tactic as well if you go too far. So there's different types of masks. Some more subconscious, some more consciously chosen.
Some more toxic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
I'd add to that, and I'm learning a lot on this journey, but I would say that for a lot of the men, the first step in true authenticity, being authentic, not just for the people that they're forward facing to, but for themselves, is recognizing that they actually wear one or multiple masks.
big time.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation too is I think a lot of people end up wearing a mask initially out of protection, they're scared, whatever.
Yep.
But it ends up becoming their identity as well. They wear the mask so much that it actually overtakes them and becomes who they are. And then their authentic self isn't really their authentic self.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I wore various masks. I wore the mask of like the athlete, threw myself into football, soccer, and I was one of the best in the school and the captain of the team and semi-pro and all that stuff. Not professional, but point being is I got validation. I got attention. I got girls. I got friends. I got all sorts. And then as soon as I was old enough, I threw myself into the gym. But the reason why I threw myself into the gym, because I remember being out in a group of kids when I don't know, 14, 13. And one of them made a joke about me being skinny. And it was in relation to being able to get one of the girls. I can't remember the exact details. I remember making a promise to myself right there and then, I will never feel that way again. And as soon as I was old enough to go in the gym, joined a gym. Prior to that, I was then working out in my dad's garage because he had some like free weights and things like that. But I became a mask, right? Because as the years went by and I started to get attention for having arms or whatever it may be, right? Like, oh, this feels good. This mask works for me. Yet behind closed doors, I would feel very different about myself. Then it was a mask of business, right? The mask of that I'd wear with my friends to be like the party animal or the fun one or whatever it may be. And all this time that this was going on, all throughout teens, 20s, luckily I caught it in my late 20s. It was not enjoyable. Those masks, they were heavy. They were confusing, always jumping from mask to mask to mask. Essentially, all of them were to get approval.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. They're different. They were all to just get approval, to be liked, to feel significant, to feel like the man. Because without any of those masks, I'd never really taken the time to figure out who I was and to be able to self-validate and get internal validation versus being so reliant on external validation.
Yeah. I think, there's different reasons we wear them. I mean, that for connection, for protection, defending yourself, protecting yourself from getting hurt, you'll wear a certain mask. To connect, you'll wear a certain mask. And society plays a big part in giving us masks, depending on where you were born, how the conditioning You know, you could be born in the States, in Texas or whatever, me in South Africa, right? Society will give us different masks, right? That automatically we walk out with. And once again, it all comes back down to awareness, which you said earlier on, which comes from growth, is recognizing like, hang on a second, how am I showing up? And why am I showing up this way? And is that true to me? And so the minute, and you also said it as well, authenticity is the opposite of wearing a mask. And the irony is we wear these masks because we think we need them. But actually, if we just get back to basics and get back authentic, we realize we never needed them in the first place. Yeah.
You've triggered something for me, Arthur, because since I've been on my TPM journey, I'm very vocal about it to my small. Didn't have a large circle. I don't have a very small circle even now. It's still small. But I look at the people around me, and that issue comes up. Are you being your true self? Like I look at them and I think to myself. And when you said society plays a part in it, it's really interesting because, like you just identified, so somebody can make a comment as a teenager at a party and you don a new mask. You could receive some significant trauma in your life, and that mask is literally crazy glued onto your face, and that's even a harder one to break through. But it's so interesting you said that, because so many people that I see out there that aren't seeking help or advice, they don't even know they have this mask on. And if they don't know they have their mask on, then it just starts to layer in the trauma and the problems and the issues and the generational issues. And I see a lot of people in my circle, even my own family members, like not direct family because we talk openly about it now, but other family members that have gone through it. And I'll see them for Christmas. I'm like, man, if we could just talk. You got to find a way, but they're all wearing masks of some sort.
I think if you pivot too, and you can take your mask off, you can use it for good. So for me, taking the mask off of the platinum child, I got to do everything right, or, I'm young and successful, or, whatever the story I used to tell myself, I can reflect now on that mask that I used to wear and go, oh, cool. That's who I used to be. And you know what? That's who I don't want to be anymore. So I'm going to recognize that. I'm going to acknowledge it. And I'm going to tell the mask, hey, stay over there. I think that's powerful.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this episode, but the reality is if you are watching or listening to this right now, then you are looking to better yourself. And I applaud you. You're one of my people. And I want to give you the opportunity of taking massive action. So if you haven't joined the activation method yet, it's our flagship program. Do what thousands of other businessmen just like you have done and take action. Be one of the 1%ers that actually does the work and takes action. There'll be a link in the description that'll take you right to a page that'll just give you more information. There is no obligation. Just go check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. All right, let's get back to this episode.
It is, yeah. I think taking it off, an important piece is to become aware of how it was serving you. I think the mistake I see a lot of people make, and I made this too, and I still do at times, is realizing I'm wearing a mask and then judging myself for wearing the mask and getting annoyed with myself. And it just makes the mask stick even harder, because that's the energy from which the mask was usually created. A place of self-judgment of, for me, I was that scenario of being skinny. I then looked to myself as not being good enough, right? So therefore the mask comes on. Self-judgment, self-hatred, self-criticism. So therefore, fast forward however many years, 20 years, 30 years, for then realize that I'm wearing this mask and I self-judge, self-criticize. It's the exact same energy from which I picked the mask up in the first place.
Yeah.
So having that compassion with yourself to realize that you're wearing a mask and to not beat yourself up and to get curious about how that mask served you, whatever it may be it to protect you, be it to get connection, be it whatever it may be. It's very helpful to then being able to take it off.
And one important point around that is to understand that the mask is actually stopping you from getting what you really want.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of the times we think it's actually helping us get to what we want.
Yeah.
But it's the barrier between.
Big time.
And it's a compounding barrier.
Yeah.
It just becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger challenge to take it off.
Yeah,
Well,
because-
then you set the expectation too with this mask, right? You tell your family, "Oh, I'm this," or you tell your friends, "Oh, I'm that," and all of a sudden, it's not who you really are. Well, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you got to start self-sacrificing and doing things that you don't necessarily want to do to maintain that mask that you didn't even want to put on in the first place.
Yeah, look, when you take that mask off, it's going to upset people because people have become to expect a certain thing from you.
Right.
That's the relationship that they have entered into. Well, they haven't really entered into one with you, they've entered into one with your mask,
Right.
right? So therefore, they expect you to act a certain way or to be able to get certain things from you or whatever it may be. So then when you take it off and you stop acting that way, it's, hang on a minute. What's going on here? I'm used to you giving me what I want. I'm used to you reacting in this certain way. I'm used to you always being nice to me, whatever, right? And they don't, it can often create, it can often be very unsettling for people. But the right people, they'll stick by you. They'll get curious. They'll ask questions. They'll support you. They'll be by your side, even in the dark days where you're fumbling through taking the mask off. Because when you take the mask off, it's scary. It's scary to feel bare, to feel naked. And it's not nice and neat, is it? It's messy.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah, it can
Initially-
be. Initially, yeah. This is what I'm talking
but-
about.
There's a sense of fulfillment. There's a point when you get there and you've done it and you realize that, wow, it doesn't hurt. And I'm not hurting somebody. The whole shift in your energy, your mind, your body, your soul just changes. And now you feel empowered.
Big
Liberated.
time, yeah. No,
Liberated.
I'm with you guys. Like, I think it's absolutely worth it. I'm just like, for the guys listening that are resonating with this, imagine them entertaining the idea of taking it off, right? In those first initial stages, because it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It's not like you go, oh, I'm wearing a mask, I'm just going to take it off like you're wearing an actual mask. It takes some undoing. It takes some recalibration. It takes some time.
So how do you take the,
It takes inner searching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so how do you take the mask off? That's what the people listening really want to know, because I think we've all worn masks at times, and we've all had to reflect and go, well, wait a second. Okay, I realize I'm wearing a mask, but what do I do? If I take this off, I'm going to story.
Yeah, I think the first thing is you need to decide if you are committed to removing the mask. Are you actually ready to take the mask off? Because there'll be a lot of people that say that they are, but aren't. Like, you gotta be absolutely ready and willing. You must have reached a point in your life where you're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This is not serving me. I must change this. At which point, in my opinion, you need to get some help, because we can't see our own blind spots. I don't think talking about it is the way forward, personally. I'm a big believer in somatic embodiment processes that provide a man with a way of connecting to his energy, emotions, body, so he can actually process the things that he's been experiencing and suppressing the entire time he's been wearing the mask, because he will have felt things. And maybe that mask is the mask of the nice guy who's always got it together, who, so pushes everything down. And when he takes that mask off, he's going to erupt. He needs to erupt in a very healthy way, in a safe space where he can do it properly, where it can actually be useful, so he can learn the lessons and shift. So I think the first thing is to commit to the journey, because it's going to be a continual one, because there's going to be times when you want to put the mask back on and you have to keep that off. The second thing is to get help, because you're going to have blind spots. To go through a process that isn't just around talking. Third thing is, in my opinion, is environment. Who you surround yourself with. We often say steel sharpens steel, right? Because if, let's say I'm around you or Doug or whoever, and I'm getting triggered. That piece of me that then gets triggered is the piece that wants to wear the mask again,
Yeah.
right? But the beauty of being around, let's say you and Doug, if you trigger me, is it's a great opportunity for me, if I take ownership, for me to learn more about myself or where there might be areas within me that I still might get to heal, that I still might get to take ownership of.
But I would venture to say, especially in my early days listening to the podcast, the guys out there are looking for a signal. It's not just how, it's why. And there's different types. For me, I had multiple different opportunities to recognize that, holy shit, something's wrong. Like, you know, your family member, you're having constant battles at home, and you find yourself in that moment going, why is this always happening to me? There's a signal. Something's going on. We know what it is. You know, there's that signal where, you know, you're acting out in anger at your children, your spouse, your coworkers, and you get that pit in your stomach, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Why am I doing that? Again, you don't have to, these are all signals that there's something more deeper for you going on. To your point, there's a step just before, like, how do I take it up? It's not that simple. We know, as men, we know something's not right. It's instinctive in us deep down. Are you strong enough? Are you courageous enough to ask yourself that question? What's going on? And then seek that help.
Well, that's what I was going to add to your list, awareness, right? Because awareness is the first step to transformation, we say, right? You can't change anything you're not aware of. Once you become aware of it, oh, now I can do something with it, all right? Which then leads on to how do you become aware, all right? Obviously through growth, through outside eyes in, once again, it's the people around you. You said it, you know, steel sharpens steel. Having other people give you feedback and say, hey, you realize you're showing up like this. That's one of the most valuable and loving tools that we can employ, because a lot of people are running around unconscious of how they're showing up.
And a lot of people around them aren't willing to tell them the truth.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
You need a sounding board in your life that is willing to look you dead in the eye and say, no, this is wrong. You're better than this. You owe yourself to be better than this. And on this past 4.5 years that I've been on this journey with you guys, to me, taking the mask off is like the ultimate burn the boats test. It's like, if I'm going to take this off and I'm going to show the world who I really am, there ain't no going back. I got to burn these boats. I got to make this happen for nobody else but me.
I venture to say I totally agree with you. Even in my experience, so many times I ask myself, like, why is this happening to me? You know, so many times I would, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? And if somebody's watching this podcast, there's a trigger, there's a signal, like, why are you watching this podcast? Something subconsciously is telling you,
Good point.
you know, I need to look deeper.
Yeah.
And I bet you that happened to you, because I know it happened to me.
Amen. It did.
So let's leave the guys with one action step.
Feedback. Get feedback from those the closest to you about how you're showing up. All right.
From anyone? Like, are they going to be honest?
Well, you know, in business we say, like, do the 360-degree feedback. Get feedback from everyone, right? But go to some people that you really respect in your personal life. I mean, business is one thing, but personal life, go to some people you really respect. Could be an old teacher, could be a coach, could be a mentor or whatever, and ask them, what do you think I'm hiding? Or how do I show up? What is your experience of me? You'll hear a couple of things that you may not like, but that is how people are experiencing you. From there, you raise your awareness. From there, you can take action.
Yeah, I think on that I'd say to them, hey, I really need you to be honest with me right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to hurt my feelings. I need to know this because I'm in a tough spot and I need to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then ask for the feedback. I think if you pre-frame it with that and let them know that you're not going to hurt the feelings and it's going to come from love and all the rest of it, you're way more likely to get an honest opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be willing to burn the boats and be willing to understand the consequences of taking the mask off. May, you know, crack a few eggs, but in the end, you'll make an omelet. Be willing to take that risk.
I think the tone at which you asked that question for that feedback. You need to be in the right mindset and the right tone, but the tone in which you ask the question will be the tone that you get the most honest answer.
Have some men around you who can catch you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fall. It's going to hurt. It's going to be tough. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be rewarding. It's going to be all sorts of things. You need some men around you who have got you back, who are on the same page, that are willing to walk into this tunnel with you and come out the other side. Because, in my opinion, your wife, your partner, they're not the person to do this for you.
No.
They can be alongside the journey, but not the person to be picking you up.
Arthur, you say to me all the time, you use the word your true self. If you want to really experience your true self, then you need to take this first step.
And it's a long journey.
It's not an easy journey.
Because there's so many layers to it. But the deeper you go, the better your life gets.
The more rewarded you are.
The more rewarded.
I love the saying, the longest journey you'll ever take is from your head to your heart.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking
Preach.
about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As Dougie Fresh says, the moment of insight, take massive action. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.